Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for ASU Gamage's Digital Connections platform. Tonight is a very special night because we get to have a sneak preview of a work in progress showing called Don't Go by Sojourn Theatre. Sojourn Theatre is a very special group of artists who for over 20 years has done work for, by, and with community in very innovative, creative ways. Tonight is no different. I do want to say our artist voice are something we all need so much now in this pandemic. Our artists are our direct line to our shared humanity. They can mirror our world and our life back to us in a way we might never have imagined. And again, tonight is no different. I hope you enjoy. It is a very special experience. I do have to thank some very special people, and that is our Gamage VIP donors. Our donors have helped us keep going in this pandemic time. And I want to thank each and every one of you who have shared us for the over 100 shared with us, the 120 Zoom broadcasts that we have done since last March. We will have a Q&A immediately following this evening's sneak peek. Please join us for that. It is a brilliant and really amazing piece of theater that we will present live in Gamage late fall. So with no further ado, please enjoy our sneak peek of Don't Go.
Thanks so much, Michael. Hi, Nick. Hi, Rebecca. We're really grateful to be here at Gamage. We're grateful for their support, and we're really happy to share a bit of our work tonight. My name is Michael Rode. I'm the founding artistic director of Sojourn Theatre. Sojourn Theatre is a 21-year-old ensemble-based company with 15 members living around the nation, working together in different combinations consistently on different projects. By the time this production world premieres at Gamage in the fall, Sojourn will have actually transitioned from an artistic director-led company to a company led by a collective of ensemble members. We are thrilled for that transition, and I am excited to be an ensemble member as we continue on our journey. I'm going to pass it on to Rebecca.
Thanks, Michael. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the project itself. We've been working on this, Don't Go for actually a few years now, and it is going to be premiering, as Michael Reed said, in November here at ASU. So we're really excited to be doing it live in November. This is something that we've been working, you're going to see collaborators tonight who we've been working on for a few years on this. We've had development at USC, in Madison, in Nashville, and what we're building towards is a 3-act structure, a show with a 3-act structure. We're not going to do all that for you tonight, but just to give you a little overview of what this might look like when we are putting it up. Act 1. Thinking about it as an act that we're strangers, where you as an audience see strangers getting to know each other in front of you through a series of playful tasks. Act 2, we're going to then draw from the story of Antigone and Creon. And these are two closely connected people from history who are caught up in a lockstep argument. They are both equally right and equally wrong. And Act 3, which is something that we've been exploring a little bit in this residency, is exploring what conflict means in the US today. So I'm going to pass it to Nick, who's going to talk a little bit about what you're going to be seeing tonight.
Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, so as Rebecca mentioned, the event itself will be much longer than what you're going to see tonight. We're just going to give you little snippets of Act 1, a tiny bit of performance material from Act 2, and then because our development residency these past 7 days has really focused on Act 3. That's where our attention will be for our showing tonight. So we do have two strangers with us tonight for our event, Brock and Bob, who had never met each other before tonight. And they just joined us 5 minutes before we all got into our Zoom room together. And they'll be getting to know each other live in front of you all and with us. So that's what we have to look forward to. And we're super grateful that all of you are with us on this journey. So with that, we hope you enjoy our rough rehearsal showing of Don't Go.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being with us. First thing is first, if we could please ask Bob and Brock to turn on their videos and join us in the Zoom space. Hello, Brock. And we'll just give 1 second for Bob. Hello, Bob. How are you?
Terrific, terrific. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, let's begin. And we're going to begin with looking into each other's eyes as much as you can here in this Zoom space. Bob and Brock, look into each other's eyes. Now, to build a relationship between two human beings is it's one of the most delicate and precious things we do. Days, weeks, years, decades. To know someone can take a lifetime.
We don't have that sort of time.
So we're going to cram all the trust building, connecting, awkward inducing, disagreeable arguing moments into a period of minutes, starting right here, right now. And there's going to be nothing real about it, except the fact that it will be completely real.
In the name of all that is contrived and yet utterly authentic. Let's begin.
All right, Brock, can you tell us an important part of your morning routine?
I actually love to warm up my voice, no matter if I'm singing or not that day. I just like to make sure that I can have a clear throat when I speak.
All right, thank you. Would it be embarrassing to ask you to do one little vocal warm-up?
Oh, not at all. But it's kind of, I'm known for it. I'm notorious for it. It goes like this. Cover your ears. I do that all throughout my dorm in the morning, and it's great.
Fantastic. Great. I'm glad that we got that in at the beginning of the show. Bob, same question for you. What is an important part of your morning routine?
Cup of coffee, reading the newspaper for a while, and then getting busy I get up early and I'll either go for some exercise, a bike ride, or start doing stuff around the house before I gotta leave for work.
Is there a specific coffee that you like in the morning, or just any coffee will do?
Whatever I've got in the deal, Costa Rican or breakfast blend. I'm not a real heavy coffee drinker, like the heartier ones. I'm not a dark roast kind of guy.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, Bob, next question. What is one of your favorite comfort foods?
Cheeseburger, which I happen to make a living making, and my doctor tells me I have to eat less of them.
Well, I need to come to Arizona Stat so I can try one of your burgers.
How much
Is
Chicago?
there
You'll be okay.
Brock, what about you? What is one of your favorite comfort foods?
That is so funny that you say that, because I have it right here. Pop-Tarts, specifically strawberry.
Frosted?
Nothing else. Frosted, of course.
You, of course.
Frosted.
Right. There is only one.
There is only one.
One.
That is it.
All right, Brock, we're going to stick with you for this next one. What color do you love and why?
Okay. Wow, you guys are asking all the good questions. My favorite color is yellow. Yellow is my all-time favorite color. I use the phrase "stay yellow" because the color yellow is kind of a call to be more positive, and to like take the hardships of my life and turn them to my advantage, and use them to benefit me. And so I wear yellow all the time, and I have a lot of accessories that are yellow so that I can always remember that goal of mine.
Completely random question here, Brock, but would you happen to have the phrase "stay yellow" just on an accessory somewhere nearby?
Oh, funny that you say that. I do. I don't know if it's split screen. No, I also have Vans that were custom made that say "stay yellow." They were pretty great.
Amazing. Stay yellow, Brock. Bob, what color do you love and why?
Magenta has always been my favorite color. And the why goes back to probably my first box of crayons when I was a kid. And that was just the one that struck me. And I've always loved it ever since. I don't wear it. I don't have it most anywhere in my house, to tell you the truth. But it's always been my favorite, my go-to. My favorite.
That's funny that you say that, because in kindergarten, magenta was my favorite color. And also that color is the opposite of yellow on the color wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Connected already from your love of colors.
We're getting disharmony here, but we're getting a lot of harmony.
Thank you.
All right, Bob. Next question. What is a favorite holiday and why?
I love Christmas. And I'm not religious. I'm the opposite, actually. But I love the fact that it's a family day. Things slow down. You just spend it with your close family that you love. I'm kind of glad I'm not in Chicago with a lot of family around, because it used to be a really hectic day. In Arizona, where neither me or my wife has immediate family in town, it's a much smaller event. It's at our house. We have some friends that don't have family here either, that are part of our holiday family. It's one of those times, it's kind of like the early morning to me. It's just one of those peaceful times of the year that don't happen a lot.
That. Brock, same question. A favorite holiday and why?
My favorite holiday is Easter, because my birthday is April 1st, and sometimes Easter falls on that day. But it's mostly because every Easter I get to go see my dad's side of the family, and I'm never really like indulged in like my Black side. So Easter is always a time when I can go see them and learn about my history as an African American. So that is why. My birthday, dad's side, and I'm a sucker for finding some eggs. But that's the third one. That's the third one. But yeah.
We love it. We love it. Thank you both.
Thank you both for that. One last question in this section. And it's you only need to give one word. In one word, Bob, which do you believe is more important? The laws of God or the laws of the state?
The laws of the state.
All right. Brock?
I would say the laws of God.
Thank you both.
Other things would happen in Act 1, but for right now, Jono is gonna sing us a song.
This one goes out to Brock and Bob. There's something about somebody new, the promise of somebody you can talk to. I met you there, saw you for the first time. You look different, I didn't try the same old line. There's something about somebody new, the promise of somebody who can surprise you. I knew it from the start that anything could happen. I jumped right in and put my fears aside. Look them in the eye, take a hand and tell no lie. Bare your soul, get out alive. It's a 21st century sort of trick. Listen with no reason why, and remember, there's something about trying to find high-speed connection on a dial-up line. I met you there, saw you for the first time. You look different from who I cannot say. There's something about singing a song with somebody who won't sing along. I knew it from the start, anything could happen. I said hello and then you said goodbye. Look them in the eye, take a hand and tell no lie. Bare your soul, get out alive. It's a 21st century sort of trick. Listen with no reason why, and remember, take a walk, bake a cake, share a drink, swim the lake, tell a joke, eat a steak or a burger. Do the things you love to hate. Look them in the eye, take a hand and tell no lie. Bare your soul, get out alive. It's a 21st century sort of trick. Listen with no reason why, and remember, remember, remember.
Yes, and connection would swell. So Bob and Brock would get to know each other over the course of about 40 minutes through a series of delightful tasks and more questions like the ones we just heard. And then at some point, we get to Act 2 for a more epic story. And that's where we'll arrive now, in the middle of that act, where we meet Antigone and Creon.
Antigone, I need to speak with you. Say yes to everything I say.
Yes.
Are you a law-abiding citizen of Thebes?
Yes.
Do you know that I have forbidden the burial of all traitors of Thebes?
Yes.
Do you understand why I created that law?
Yes.
You know your brother is dead, right?
Yes.
Do you know that he was a traitor?
Yes.
I have learned, it has been said, that you wish to bury your brother. Is this true?
Yes.
Do you understand that given this current circumstance, I have to act as your king and not your uncle?
Yes, but Creon, my king, my blood, father of the man I choose to love. Now say yes to everything I ask.
Perhaps.
Do you believe in the gods?
Child.
No disrespect, please. Answer. Do you believe in the gods?
For my son who loves you, I will play this game. Yes, I believe in the gods.
Are the gods a higher power than the state?
The state is such because the gods have made it so. Antigone, you know your brother is dead, right?
Yes.
Do you know that he was a traitor?
Yes. Can one recognize wrong and still love the wrongdoer? Must love die when loyalties change?
No, and yes. It has been said that you wish to bury your brother. Is this true?
Yes.
Do you understand that, given the current circumstance, I have to act as your king and not your uncle?
Do you understand that at this moment, I have to act as a sister, not a citizen?
Do you know the consequences of burying your brother?
Yes, do you?
Yet you defy me?
Would you have me defy the gods?
So you defy the state.
You just said the gods empower the state, which means the laws of the state must always follow the gods' wishes.
Do you care about me, your family?
Do you care about my brother, your family?
Riddles. Answer my questions. Do you care about your city?
I am not new to the city. I am new to the city. I'm not new to my brother.
Do you know that if you do this, to maintain order in the state of Thebes, do you know that you will be hung, Antigone?
Do you know that if you do this, if you do not relent, you will be in defiance of the highest law there is, and your punishment, no doubt, will be far worse than mine?
That's treason, niece.
Do you know that a king can be as wrong as a thief? Do you know that my love for my brother means more than your love for the state? Do you know that I am giving you the chance to be right? Not just strong, but right.
Antigone.
Yes.
Do you want to die, child?
What kind of man kills a child? What kind of uncle kills his niece? Do you want to kill me, uncle? Is that who you are? A man who kills his brother's daughter because he's scared? Are you scared, Creon? Do I scare you? Kill me. Do it here. Do it now. Why wait? If you are so certain you are right, do it now.
Get out of my face.
Brock, yes or no question. Have you ever had a conflict with someone where you were the Creon, where you had the power in the relationship, the workplace, and the way the world sees you and someone else? Just yes or no?
Yes.
Bob, what about you? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Another yes or no. Have you ever had a conflict with someone where you were the Antigone, where you did not have the power, where you had less power?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you both.
It is as if
You are watching righteous and righteous smash into a wall of each other, bounce back, and begin again.
it is as if
Belief fills the room of each mind, closes the door and stands guard.
to make certain no other voice can occupy the sacred space of certainty.
What if Ismene, Antigone's sister, was with child and she did not want it?
What if,
Antigone,
with the same fervor she seeks to care for a brother's dead body,
cared for a sister's child?
unborn?
What if Creon, who is the law, said, your sister Antigone, she has the right to choose?
What if Antigone said,
No.
God's law says no.
and what if Creon said,
Antigone, the law, my law, says this is not your choice.
And what if Antigone said,
Your laws don't matter.
family matters, God matters, that child, that unborn child?
Matters.
and what if Antigone did something as brazen
As running into dark city streets.
To defy guards and bury a dead body?
What if
She did whatever she had to do to defy Creon and prevent her sister from killing her unborn niece.
so this, sisters and an unborn child,
This is not our story.
Just as another story.
Say, of a family separated across borders by law.
Is not our story.
Just as another story
Say of two men or two women who love each other despite the state.
is not our story.
but across all the stories we might tell of righteous and righteous smashing into walls of each other,
When is righteous heroic? And when is it what leads us to the edge of reason and beyond?
What room in the mind of strangers might you enter, safe?
And what room will never welcome you? Its belief so full that for you there is no space.
What walls must we climb?
What guards must we circumvent?
Persuade.
Overwhelm.
Love.
To walk out of a locked room?
Hand in hand.
And
More than survive.
Build a future together.
Act 3.
Hey, Bob. In a word or a phrase, what do you think America is fighting about right now?
America's fighting about feeling left out. And each individual group that's fighting, they feel left out.
Hey, Brock. In a word or a phrase, what do you think America is fighting about right now?
I would say America is fighting about unification and unity.
Thank you both. We are going to send you off into breakout rooms right now with Bobby and Sarah. You'll vanish in just a moment, so please accept the invitation and we'll see you back here soon.
Are they gone? All right, ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts for the most epic, the most tragic, the most brutal and beautiful American fight of our time, hailing from Detroit, Michigan, land of the American dream, weighing in at the burden of our past. In this corner, we have Law.
Law, law, law.
And hailing from Wilmington, North Carolina, weighing in at, we're still waiting for it, in this corner we have Justice.
Justice, justice, justice.
Oh, you don't think that's the great American fight of our time? That's okay. Tell us what you think it is. Drop it into the live stream chat right now. Get those fingers working on those keyboards. What is the great American fight? Drop it into the chat now.
Now, now. Yes, now. You can enter your responses into the chat now. Now.
Is it?
Now.
Is it nation versus individual?
Is it faith versus secular?
Is it urban versus rural? What are we fighting about? The only words that are off limits are liberal and conservative.
I'm tired of that fight. Now, drop your comments into the chat. Now, now, now.
And we'll ask for a little bit of patience due to the lag of the internet. But other than that, we will await your response.
Jono, you're not supposed to say that out loud.
Oh, we're not supposed to show how the cookies are made. I'm sorry.
No, you just make the cookies and you give them to the people.
I understand. I understand. Not so quick in the brain, this one.
Okay, so making sure you're giving us two fighters. We've got a righteousness in the chat. I'm more right.
We have ethics and morals.
We've got the haves versus the have-nots. Jono, which one are you?
Are we still talking about brains? Because I'm a have-not.
I don't know, Jono. I don't know.
We have my country versus your country.
We've got the USA being left out and unification.
Once again, I think we're sensing a theme here. Whose country is it?
Who are they fighting against? Who's the other player in that fight? I think we've got a winner, Jono.
Do we have a winner?
I think, yes.
All right, here it is. The winner is Power versus Justice.
Jono, that's the wrong winner.
Let's go back to the brains conversation, the haves and the have-nots. Okay, Quina, announce the winner.
Power versus Justice.
Oh,
You
she
were
put
right.
the rope-a-dope on me. She just wanted to say it.
I did. I want to apologize.
All right, Quina, you get the last word. Thank you all so much. We're bringing our strangers back from their breakout room. Thank you, audience. You've been wonderful.
So, Brock, can you think of a moment of conflict with someone when you could have showed up differently, maybe better? Just say yes or no.
Yes,
What's your relationship to that person?
they're my sibling.
In only a few words, describe the experience you think the other person had during that fight with you.
A desire for understanding in the uncertain circumstances or in the uncontrollable circumstances.
Bob, same questions for you. Yes or no? Can you think of a moment of conflict with someone when you could have showed up differently, maybe better?
Yes,
And what's your relationship to that person that you're thinking about?
that was my ex-wife.
And
Who
in
was my
only
wife at the time.
and in only a few words, could you describe the experience you think she was having during that fight with you?
She felt like I verbally struck her, as I said I'm not in love with her anymore, but she heard and felt I don't love you anymore. And where I saw a difference, she didn't, and I couldn't have hurt her any more by saying that.
Thank you, Bob, for sharing that. Brock and Bob, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and pull out your phones right now in this moment. And we're going to ask you to open up that voice recording app. And we're going to ask you to record a little thing. We believe apology has a relationship to accountability and helps to crack conflict open. So we're actually going to ask you to record an apology for each other. So, Brock, imagining what Bob just said about his conflict or his argument with his ex-wife, what might she want to hear from Bob? And then on the other side, Bob, hearing what Brock just offered about the conflict with his sibling, what is something that Brock's sibling might want to hear? Help them find the words to say. We're actually going to mute you and invite you to go ahead and record that into your recording device. So Bob recording on behalf of Brock and Brock recording on behalf of Bob. What might they say? We'll give you about a minute to record these apologies. We won't hear you right now, but actually take the time to imagine the words this other person might say to that person. And your minute starts now.
5 seconds. And thank you, Bob and Brock.
There are some conversations we shouldn't hear each other out on. Some stuff we can't and won't agree to disagree on. I, Quenna, am not going to sit down with a white supremacist to explain 400, et cetera, years of racism and pause to hear their side of the story. For example, that's not transformative listening. That's labor that may leave me in need of therapy and a nap. There are some compromises that just won't be struck at this point in our collective history, and I'm okay with that. And there are some that could be struck. Some that we avoid because, well, okay, let's think of some lousy ways human beings show up to conflict. We have some really lousy ones, y'all. Okay, for instance, maybe we show up defensive, right? Ready to fight.
Maybe we show up really arrogant. Maybe we have no interest in listening. There's so many reasons.
Yeah, thanks, Jono. I'm going to interrupt here because I want to ask the strangers just a few more questions. So, Brock, knowing the very little bit that you know about Bob, having just met him and heard a little bit of his story, is there some way that you think you might be the same as Bob?
Yes, I could see a similarity.
Okay. In what way do you think you might be the same as him?
He brought up he's like the opposite of religious. And though I am religious, I grew up in a very like unsafe religious environment, being the person I am. And so I could see how we could parallel on similarities of how religion is harmful to people.
And Bob, is there some way that you think you might be the same as Brock?
Using our voice, I like your little warm-up thing, but I don't warm up that way. But at the same time, I sing a good one in the shower.
That's great.
I think we both desire to understand and feel compassion about people around us. Just more of a gut feel, and we haven't had a long conversation on this, but I feel that from Brock.
Sure. And how about difference, Bob? In what way do you think you might be different from Brock?
I think in some cases, and I'm in a business where I'm around a lot of people all the time. So sometimes I can get to a point where I may write somebody off as just not worth my effort or time. Not from a business standpoint, from a personal standpoint. But I'm a good deal older, and where I used to invest more energy into that, I think at this point in time we might differ in that category.
You think maybe Brock doesn't do that, write people off in that way?
Correct. I think he's more apt to accept people's differences than maybe I am now.
Brock, in what way do you think you're different from Bob?
I would say there's a couple differences. The age gap. I feel like I grew up in an extremely different world than he did, and I think, and then our view of life. As I'm a Black gay male living in America, and he's like a straight white male. So it's kind of, we view life differently. But that doesn't mean we can't be friends, Bob.
Darn right it doesn't. You're darn right it doesn't. I haven't heard you off. I'm ready to win.
Okay.
And Brock, well, this question is going to be for both of you, so you can both think of it now. 3 things that you normally get heated about. Maybe they're things that you care about deeply. 3 things that when they come up, in whatever way they come up, you get a little heated around them. Brock?
Okay. I would say 1 would be the disregard for people's feelings. 2 would be when someone doesn't care to understand an opposing side. And 3, the lack of love, or when someone's love is lost because of a misunderstanding or because of something someone doesn't understand. If that makes sense.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Brock. Bob, how about you? 3 things that you get heated about.
I get real heated and irritated by people being inconsiderate to other people. And sure, it doesn't have to be me, and I'll stand up for somebody else who's being treated that way. The lack of national health insurance in this country. I'm sorry, but Brock, when I was your age in 1979, I did a paper in a sociology class on Canada's health insurance program. And it absolutely floors me that I figured we'd have one in 4 or 5 years then, that we still don't have one. Anger that people have about other people that's just baseless on their own personal experience and built on what they've heard or read or watched, but not learned personally.
And Bob and Brock, just having heard the 3 things, 3 of maybe many things that get the other person heated, is there anything in what you just heard or in the conversations from earlier that you imagine you might disagree about?
I don't see anything in the 3 things.
Yeah, I don't see too much. One thing that doesn't really have anything to do with Bob is just like his idea that like law of the state is more important than law of the God. That's just like a personal thing that I don't agree on, but that's only because I've like come to that. I've like gained my own testimony of that, and so I can't discredit his mindset or idea because I personally came to that myself.
Thanks, Brock. Thanks, Bob.
Sure.
Jono, will you reveal now to Brock and Bob the big fight that our audience chose earlier?
Brock and Bob, our audience has identified the great American fight as power versus justice.
Thanks, Jono. Bob and Brock, here we're going to come out of the show just for a moment and go right back in to tell you and everyone listening, we are fascinated and flummoxed by the question, can a nation heal if the individuals in it don't know how to argue and maintain relationships on the other side of conflict? So we have been playing here throughout our years of working on this show with epic political polarization and its relationship to interpersonal conflict. And we find ourselves wondering what healing is needed to allow difficult conversations to happen, to keep happening. And that led us, among other things, to the idea of apology. Brock, could you pull out what you recorded a few minutes ago and unmute yourself? And could you play us the recording of your voice, imagining an apology from Bob's point of view to his ex-wife?
Yes.
Put it close enough to the microphone, if you would, please.
Hey, I just wanted to say that I know at the time I didn't understand you. It was a very loaded, emotional, traumatic experience, but just know that that's not what that meant. I loved you and I still love you. Love doesn't fleet so quickly. So just know that I did love you in that moment and that my words did not mean what you thought they meant. And I'm sorry that you thought they meant that. And I hoped to give you an environment that is safer next time. Thank you.
Brock, thank you very much for those words. And Bob, thank you for sharing what you shared that allowed Brock to imagine that. Bob, could you take a moment and find the recording on your phone? It's you imagining what Brock might have offered as an apology.
Sure.
And make sure that phone's close enough to the mic, and thank you.
It doesn't want to play it.
Look, I'm sorry that that we're at the state where we're at right now, and I really wish to understand better how you feel about this. Not how I feel about it, but how you feel about this, so I can understand you better and we can reach a resolution, which is what I'd dearly like.
Bob, thank you so much for that, for sharing that, for imagining that coming from Brock's point of view. Brock and Bob, really grateful for the vulnerability and the willingness to share that now as I pass on to Bobby and Sarah.
Brock and Bob, how does the big fight our audience chose, power versus justice, show up in your daily life?
Well, I own a business, so I have the power to make decisions and to have employees and even customers do what I need to or want them to do. But I've had my crew for 20 to 30 years, every one of them, because the justice of what I ask of them is paramount in how we set up our working relationship. If power was my deal, I've worked for people like that, and a lot of people come and go in that situation. Power doesn't get things done and satisfy people. If we're talking about governments, that's a different story. When we're talking in personal lives, I think justice absolutely is far outweighs power, or at least it should.
For me, power and justice are kind of internal. What is justice? What is right? And how much power do I have over myself, or how can I see the power that I have over myself? That is a struggle I have every day. What is right? Growing up in an LDS environment, what is right? And who has the power to decide that? That is kind of the battle.
Bob, you said when it's on a government level, it's different, like the getting stuff done. How did you mean exactly?
On a government level, I think power is much more prevalent than justice. And people who can make those decisions do not always, or sometimes even often, have justice as their main motivation.
I agree with that, yeah.
Sorry, us.
Nope, I see the same thing, dog.
I have another question. So, thinking about the big American fight that our audience chose, what comes to mind if we ask you to complete these sentences? So, in a word or a phrase, my heart breaks for.
And this is pertaining to the American fight.
Justice, yeah, justice versus power.
Yeah. My heart breaks for Black Americans, from to the present to the past, from past to present, hundreds of years of injustice.
My heart breaks for the families that were separated at the border in the last 4 years. All the issues involved in that. And it doesn't break for the people in power who made those decisions, but it breaks for all the people whose those decisions affected.
Okay, how about this one? My heart opens when
someone smiles.
My heart opens when someone is willing to unconditionally, like, learn from someone else who's not like them.
If I may ask one as well, I feel hopeless when.
I feel hopeless when I can't see my worth as a human being.
I feel hopeless when religious belief is used to justify actions I find just wrong and commonsensically wrong.
Okay, one more. I see possibility when.
Go ahead, Ron. I got one, but I want to let you go unless you want time. All right. I see possibility when people listen. You know, and if there was a way through the conflict that we see as a nation, it's really listening would get you a lot further than anything else is going to do. And certainly in personal life, in personal relationships, in the world, our world around us, as opposed to our whole world. Listening brings understanding and can bring you to decisions that, that benefit more than just yourself or just someone else, by understanding somebody else. But you can't do that without listening, hearing them, but more importantly, listening to them.
Was it I see possibilities?
I see possibility when, or possibilities, yes, give us all of them.
I see possibilities when people are educated about our history. That is such an amazing, I feel like if more people were educated about the history of our country, then people would understand and listen, be more willing to listen to someone's and opposing sides' viewpoints.
Thank you both.
And that is our stopping point for this evening. That is a part of a quite larger piece. But the most important thing to say right now is how grateful we are to Bob and Brock for spending time with us this evening. So incredibly grateful. And don't go anywhere, because we're all still here together. Rebecca, if you want to come on. Hi, Nick. And because we have a 30-second lag with the folks watching on YouTube, we had an idea, which is those of you who are watching the stream right now, as we move into our Q&A period for a few minutes, we thought we would give you a task. And while the 30 seconds pass, we'll begin a conversation here with Bob and Brock. But the prompt for you on YouTube is, I believe Liz Lerman, the great Liz Lerman, dear friend and colleague, is in the room right now. So it is with trepidation that I say we will borrow from her critical response process, her CRP, and we will simply invite folks in the stream to offer up in the chat moments that are sticking with you, things that were meaningful. We're not asking you at this point for what you thought about what you just experienced. We're not asking you to tell us what you wish it had been. We're just asking in this moment, what were some meaningful things that are staying with you, or that you will remember, or that you just want to lift up because you're holding on to them? Put those in the chat. And while you're doing that, I'm going to pass to Nick, who is going to maybe move us into a conversation. Hi, Nick.
Hey. Yeah, Bob and Brock. Wow, wow, wow. We got so lucky to meet you both tonight.
Likewise.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for playing with us a little bit. And as folks are sharing, lots of celebrations for you two, by the way, in the chat. And we'll have to figure out how to get those over to you at some point so you can see what appreciations folks were experiencing for all you shared tonight. But we'd love to just hear you talk a little bit about what that experience was like for you, and maybe to pick up on Michael's prompt to the audience, if there was like one moment in particular that was most meaningful to the two of you in being inside of that just now. What was a moment or two that was most alive and meaningful?
The back and forth questions when you asked us about like those, like the America, what the audience chose when Sarah and Bobby were talking to us. That was it was very real. Those were like my real responses, and I think hearing the questions for the first time ever played into the realness, authenticity of it.
For me, was probably, relating the story about my ex. That's something I haven't talked to a lot of people about, and certainly not at length. And I certainly wasn't expecting to visit that this evening. It was a pretty dig deep. Yeah.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, that was really meaningful for us to hear as well. That vulnerability and that depth of sharing. So thank you. Yeah, and I'll just parrot out now some of the moments that our audience is sharing from what they just saw that were alive and meaningful to them. And then we'll ask one more question for our little Q&A portion here. So one moment as I see possibility with Bob and Brock, an amazing Sojourn Theatre, the moments of vulnerability that were shared. The initial questions related to colors, routines stood out to me in the relationship building moment. The openness of Bob sharing the details of his personal conflict. The question of where you see possibility. More thank yous and gratitudes for Brock and for Bob. And the strangers' willingness to hear each other, that was meaningful for folks. The recording of the apologies and the moment of looking into each other's eyes, just to name a few. So I think now, Rebecca, I'll turn it over to you to take us into just a few more questions.
Yeah, thank you. And so we're interested in just hearing from you all, audience folks who are joining us tonight, what questions this brought up for you. It could be a question such as, oh, I'm interested in a bit of the process, but it could also be a rhetorical question. A rhetorical question that could be something like, I have no idea how I'm going to approach conflict, but I'm thinking, so it was something like that. So just wanting to give you folks a minute, folks in the audience, to think about any questions that are coming up for you. Anything that either is process-based that some folks here might be able to answer, or anything that is on your mind having gone through this experience. Anything that is sticking with you.
And maybe Bob and Brock too, as we wait for some responses from our audience here, if the two of you have any questions that were provoked by being inside of this thing, now would be a great time to ask those. It looks like you're saying something, Brock, and I know you know how to unmute, but just in case you didn't know you were muted.
I was just like speaking out loud, seeing if like I did have something. I'm not sure I do though.
No pressure. Yeah,
Okay.
no pressure at all. We've got one from the audience here, but Bob, I just don't want to bypass you in case there's some on your mind.
No, although Brock, towards the end of it, you mentioned, growing up a gay Black man, but then you brought it to in a Mormon environment. And that's an even bigger box.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
There was a lot of challenges with the first two.
Yeah, the intersectionality that I was born with, I'm very grateful for, because I'm able to see so many different perspectives of life. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. I get the impression of a really bright and compassionate young man. And
well, thank you. And the thing is, like, I am still a member. I am still involved, because I would think it would be, I don't know a word to describe that. I think it wouldn't be smart to just kind of leave it all, since it is ingrained in my childhood. I don't think it'd be smart to just kind of throw it all away when I went to college. So I'm kind of like experimenting with my relationship with the church, and because it's given me so many great things in my life, and so I wouldn't want to throw it away, because of kind of the ignorance or the misunderstanding that people in the church have. So I am still a member. It's not an X thing yet.
Well, I understand the meaning that religion plays for people, for yourself. it just doesn't have that meaning for me. And
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
to make that decision a long time ago. I mean, I grew up in a Greek Orthodox household, and I quit smoking pot as an 18-year-old because I had a conversation with Jesus very high on
Mm.
hashish, and I fully believed
Oh,
it. And it was a few years later when I finally decided, nah, okay, that was me talking. But
interesting.
like I say, I understand the good it can do. And I
Yeah.
understand that I may not even be right, but I just know that it doesn't have meaning for me anymore. But I absolutely see it having meaning for many people around
Yeah.
me, and certainly for you.
I
Yeah,
love
thank you. Are we
this is Act 3.5 now. It's so good.
are we supposed to answer the question?
It sure is.
No. Rebecca's putting in there so everybody can see the questions that the audience
Mhm.
is asking. So no pressure to answer them.
Oh, okay.
But it's lovely that at the end of this experience, the questions that you both are left with are ones about each other. It's just amazing how cool that is.
This was about strangers getting to know each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
The very original goal. Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead, Rebecca.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if as I'm dropping these questions in the chat for you all, those of us who are on the performance side, if there is something that you all are moved to answer, please feel free to answer that as well as I'm putting these in. And then we're doing sort of a little bit of a back and forth. So some things we are answering directly in the YouTube chat, and then some things we're interested in hearing voices speak about. So.
Oh, so do you want us to answer these if we're feel inclined?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that kind of the vibe I got? Because it talked about like my immediate feelings going into this conversation, especially after you saw each other. I did, of course, there are implicit biases that I have about like white people or like older people, but I made sure to reserve those until I got to know more about Bob, because it would not be fair if I just acted on my biases without having to know him. So
Thanks, Brock.
Yeah.
Do you have a thought, Bob, that you're interested in sharing, move to share about what are some immediate feelings that you've had going into the conversation?
No, not really. Not that I haven't shared already, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Ooh, there's a good question. When should we listen to each other, and when should we protect ourselves? That is amazing. Personally, if you're in a place like a safe place in yourself to listen to someone, then you should listen to someone. But when it is detrimental to your like internal self, that's probably when you should protect yourself and get out of the situation.
Yeah, I have to just respond both to Brock and Bob about how early on you were starting to find connection with each other, and was just wanting to reflect that back. That doesn't always happen in a previous iteration, so it was really fun to have that opportunity with the two of you as such game players to be a part of that too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cast, here's a question for you. If anyone on the cast wants to chat about this a little bit, how do you prepare for a show like this?
Panic.
Great. That's all we have for that one.
Might it be fair to say that the four performers here, as well as being excellent performers, have years and years and years of experience facilitating in all kinds of community spaces and performance spaces, and are not coming to this show as actors who've never been involved in public dialogue. Every one of them has done a lot of that work all over the country. So that is not new or something they are training up to.
Both in facilitation and as teaching artists as well, I'll add.
Can I ask you all a question real quick?
Absolutely.
do you guys collaborate on the writing of this, or how is that part? You're in part of the acting, but you guys also, did you write your own lines? How was the collaboration for this production worked?
We've spent a lot of time in a Zoom room this past week, just talking with one another and trying to like pick apart the whole thing in so many different ways. Like that question that was offered, you know, when should we listen to each other and when should we protect ourselves? Like that has been so present in our conversations, trying to figure out the right way into this piece, the right kind of ways to challenge and pick apart. So yes, part of our process has been like all of us together, trying to get our arms around the piece and around the language and around what the thing wants to be. Michael, usually for Sojourn pieces, steps in as a writer in some ways and has known many of us for way too many years that I won't blast anybody for that, for how long we've known each other, but knows some of our voices in some ways. And then also we treat the text in as sort of a living document. I mean, literally, you know, 5 minutes before you all joined us, the script was changing to get it more in our mouths in the right way and for us to have discoveries in that way. And Nick is also, as a lead artist on this too, has been writing a lot for the piece too. So it's a joint effort for sure. And kind of constantly in motion. There's aliveness to that, to the way that Sojourn makes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
During the piece tonight, actually, we made a cut in the middle of the show, live.
Yeah.
The actors implemented beautifully, by the way.
I had a lot of fun watching Jono's eyes realize I had just taken words that he was about to speak. Quinn also, words disappeared as they were about to speak them.
It was in the middle of Quenna's chunk of text, and she, being the pro she is, did not skip a beat.
Nope.
And these are the things you can only do when technology is a platform for us, as opposed to
Well, there's always like the notes that get slipped to you right in the middle of performance, which I'm sure has happened at least once or twice in the Sojourn show.
pages ripped out of your hand right in the middle of performance. Don't say that.
I once handed Rebecca a new monologue on a moving bus that she was about to perform. So those things happen.
Thank you, everyone. Michael, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. So we are going to thank Bob and Brock and let them get on with their evenings. We want to thank them. It's very important. And we're so grateful. We learned so much with you tonight.
Brock,
thank you.
Enjoyed meeting you. I might enjoy meeting you all. Brock, I'm glad to get a chance to know you a little bit.
Yeah, great to meet you, Bob. Have a great night.
You too.
And it's important that we thank Michael and Fernanda and Lisa and Colleen and everyone at ASU Gamage who has been supporting the exploration of this project for the last several years, and where we are fortunate enough to get to premiere it live in person on November 13th. We're very grateful for this time, and to all of our Sojourn family who are watching and who are here. It's really exciting to have gotten to this point, and exciting to watch everyone's beautiful work tonight. So thank you.
Brock and Bob, you all gave me hope for humanity.
Oh, that's good.
Thanks, pal.
I hope to make all the past generations proud as we grow up. I do have a question. How many people were in that? How many people just saw like my busted dorm room? Like
about 60.
Okay. I was wondering. I didn't care. I don't care, but I just want to know.
I don't see milk crates in there. I don't see any milk crate furniture. So you're living
but
good compared
fun fact,
to, a couple, 3-4 decades ago, pal.
That's a signed picture of Sutton Foster.
Okay.
Most definitely. That everyone should look at that and love that and kiss that. But thanks so much, guys.
I think before this turns into a Saturday Night Live sketch, we're gonna close up, but we're super grateful and sending love to all. And Sojourn family tonight, I think we're going over to my Zoom room just for a minute. That's what Nick just asked of us. So we'll see each other there. And folks who watched from home, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you'll join us in the fall.
Good night, y'all. Thank you.
Bye. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Gamage.
You can see our theater is empty, but our hearts are full. full of gratitude and appreciation for helping us bring the best of Broadway to the Valley and working together to get through these very difficult times. I know you're all aware of COVID-19 and the impact it has had on culture across the country, and in particular, the impact it has had on Broadway and the road. And ASU Gamage is one of the stars of the road. It has been particularly difficult as we look at tours being closed down. I've come here to ask for your help. You know arts organizations are struggling and many will not make it. In fact, 14,000 arts organizations will close their doors. ASU Gamage cannot survive without your help. One of the things that we have always been very proud about at ASU Gamage is we have always been able to support the work that we do without financial support from the university, from the city, or from the state. Touring Broadway is not only integral to ASU Gamage, but financially, it makes up 80% of our budget. So it is critical that we have you as our major supporters. It is critical that many of you have reached out beyond ticket sales and provided support as donors. We have been very fortunate and very frugal in having emergency funds, but those funds are currently dwindling. So we're looking at trying to replenish those funds so that we can remain open, so that we can fully be open to welcome you back. What we're asking from you is your help and your support. Because it's going to take time to open the stages, to reopen the theater, to welcome you back, we are going to need funds. Funds to support everything from the kind of cleaning protocols that we have to do. It will be making sure you have as touchless an environment as possible, except for when we touch your heart. So those funds that you are providing for us will enable us to do those things so we can open the theater. One of the things that's really exciting is we do believe the show must go on. So we have put together a large digital platform where a myriad of things happen. We have teaching artists who are teaching music, dance, theater, and film. We've been able to do live performances. So we've not just been saying the curtain will go up. We like to say the curtain never came down. So it's more than just keeping the lights on. It's keeping ASU Gamage ready for when you come back. We need your help to keep us strong. We've launched our Return to the Stage campaign, a year-long fundraising effort that will help us keep the lights on, enhance safety and cleaning, and support our mission of connecting communities. The financial loss is devastating and it will take years to recover. The Return to the Stage campaign is the beginning of our path to returning live theater back to ASU Gamage. Remember, this is only intermission. Our curtain will rise and we will come back together again. But we need your help. Support what you love and help ASU Gamage return to the stage. Your gift will have a powerful impact. All we can say is thank you, thank you, thank you.